A Guide to Making Friends. I can already tell that there are going to be a couple of people who see the date that this was posted and automatically think that this is supposed to be a joke video. If there's one issue that I see gamers struggle with the most, it's loneliness. And I want to give you the best chance possible to lead a happy, fulfilling life. The fact of the matter is, being human comes with some factors that can feel amazing when they're addressed, but they can also make you feel miserable if it's something that you're lacking in. I just want you to trust me in this video, because having friends is one of the most important aspects of life, and I don't want anyone to miss out. First of all, you need to think about your current situation. If you needed help with something, how many people outside of your family could you call? How many people do you trust with sensitive information? If you could invite all the most important people in your life to one big party, and assuming they all showed up, how many would be there? This number could surprise you, or it could potentially bum you out. If you came up with a small number though, then I want to make sure you remember that quality is more important than quantity. If you have a small number of really close friends, or even just one who you confide everything to, that's worth way more than a dozen friends who wouldn't pick you up if you ever got a flat tire. If that number was 0 though, then I think we should work on that. But also remember that if you have a bunch of friends where none really stick out, you should also work on a few things here too. I think it's important to realize that maintaining friendships is way harder than it was for our parents at our age. We live in a period of time where we don't need to be as social as before. Why go to the movies with other people when you can flop onto your bed and stream something for free? Why get everyone together for game night when you can just play a one-player game or play online? Video games in particular are a haven for introverted people. They provide a way to keep you stimulated where you don't need to depend on anyone else. However, I think it's important to note that friendship is a skill that relies on extroversion. If you define yourself as an introvert, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is something you'll have to work on in this one specific aspect. Think of it with a growth mindset, that the more you work on it, the better you'll get at it. Even though this should help in making friends, the most important aspect is that you're learning to develop a skill in social interactions. So what do you do first? The first thing I'd recommend doing is cleaning yourself up. Make yourself presentable. Obviously, if you're only bathing or using deodorant once a week, then you'll want to fix that before working on anything else. If your clothes are baggy or dirty, then either clean them up or find new clothes that are appropriate for your size and weight. If you have unkempt facial hair, take a razor and either shave it off completely or make sure that it's at least properly groomed. So what does that have to do with making friends? People like to be around others who are more attractive. Even if you're not attracted to these people, you'll still gravitate towards the ones who are better looking and take care of themselves. Likewise, people will be less likely to spend more than 7 seconds in a room with you if you're smelly, dirty, or look like you haven't looked in a mirror in the past 3 months. Okay, so now you're presentable and you've got the mindset that you're trying to work on your social skills more than get any kind of result. What do you do next? Well, next I think you should look into what kind of friends you want to have. Think about it like this. Who do you admire? And likewise, who do you want to get away from at every opportunity? Really try to think about what you want your social circle to look like, and then think about yourself and how you personally fit in. If you want your friend group to be a bunch of hockey fans, but you yourself don't know anything about hockey, then now's your time to start learning. If you want your friends to be all straight A valedictorians, then maybe you should try and fix your 3.0 GPA. If you're looking to hang out with other gamers though, then think about what kind of games you want your friends to play. Do you want your friends to play Smash? Maybe you could hang out at a local Smash tournament. What if you're looking into something without a competitive scene, like Dark Souls or Animal Crossing? I think you can get lots of enjoyment from hanging around online communities that focus around Dark Souls or Animal Crossing. But that's kind of a cheap way to do it. It's absolutely a great way to find a community that shares a similar interest, but I want you to focus more on face-to-face relationships that require other people to actually be in front of you. So, in case I didn't make it clear, if you want to be accepted within a social group, you need to fit into that social group. People like others who are similar to them, who can hold a conversation about their interests. How would you like it if you went to a sporting event and you didn't know the rules, what was on the line, or even who was playing? While there might be someone there who enjoys teaching you the ropes, most people want to talk to people who already know what they're talking about. They want to be around someone who's as equally obsessed as themselves. Of course, you don't need to change everything about yourself or live in a secluded room until you know anyone who's ever scored a touchdown before, but you need to understand what other people like and how you can contribute to a conversation. Okay, so speaking of conversations, raise your hand if you get nervous walking up to people you don't know and trying to talk to them. My guess is that's most of the people watching this video, if not everybody. Randomly walking up to people you don't know can be scary, even for extroverts. This is why I think you should start in your immediate circles. Do you go to school? Maybe you could strike up a conversation with the person sitting next to you in class. Do you have a job? Maybe you can hear about how your coworker spent their weekend. Try to start a conversation that's relevant to the both of you so that it doesn't sound as forced. So here's an absolutely basic way to start up a conversation in school. Man, that midterm was tough. How do you think you did? That's it. You start by bringing up a conversation that applies to the both of you, you imply your own stance on the situation, and you give them the opportunity to talk about themselves. This is a totally normal way to start up a natural conversation. Here's another couple of ideas. I'm barely keeping up with the homework. How are you doing? I saw you talking to a customer earlier. It looked like she was giving you a hard time. Hey, I couldn't help but notice what you were watching on your phone. I was thinking about getting into that myself, actually. Also, have you heard about that YouTuber Gerran? You should totally watch him. That's the magical formula for conversations. Show interest in something that the other person has an interest in, and then show interest in that person's opinions. If you don't share opinions, maybe you could bring up your own thoughts on the matter. People can still respect you even if you have different beliefs than theirs, but only if you're respectful about it. I shouldn't need to say this, but never put the other person down. In fact, don't be negative in general. It's totally fine to say, man, this class is kicking my butt, but it's not okay to say, this professor is such a joke, I hate this class. The only people that will attract are the ones who feed off of toxicity, and those aren't the people who will make you happy. So if you hear someone say, LeBron is the greatest Laker of all time, you could say, oh, you think so? I personally think that Magic Johnson is. It's a shame that his career was cut short, but I really wonder what his legacy would look like if he'd played longer. In that situation, you're acknowledging their opinion, disagreeing, explaining why you disagree, and giving them the opportunity to rebuttal. None of it is confrontational. Of course, your tone matters, so make sure that your voice is soft but confident. However, having differing opinions that are too strong could potentially lead to an argument, so if you think it could go down the wrong route, try and shift the conversation to something that you can both agree on. Wow, there have been a lot of great Lakers players. It sucks that they didn't go anywhere this season. You think they'll do better next season? Again, avoid aggression, avoid confrontation, and try to make it about themselves again. However, there is one caveat that I think that I should mention. I remember having a conversation with a girl in gym class one time. I thought things were going great until she finally snapped at me and said, "Stop asking so many questions." Now, I didn't even realize I was doing it. In my attempt to keep the conversation going, I was essentially turning a discussion into an investigation. After everything she said, I replied with, "Why did you do that? What happened next? What are you gonna do about that?" It made her feel super uncomfortable because I was making her hold the conversation for me. Yeah, you should definitely ask questions to allow the other person to talk about themselves, but if you do it more than 2 or 3 times in a row, it'll start to wear on them. In those situations, take the opportunity to tell them about your own self. Even something as simple as, "I would have done this in this situation," can make a big difference. Remember, you're not just there to learn about them, you're there so they have someone they can learn about too. That's when your connections with them really starts to grow. Now, you may do all of these things and the other person just might not click with you. That's fine. Even the most extroverted people in the world have people that they just don't gel with. So as long as you respect them as a person, there's nothing wrong with that. You just acknowledge that and move on. There are going to be people who share similar opinions, interests, and personality types as you. But just being respectful and having good social skills isn't going to automatically make everyone your friend. I think the best piece of advice for you is to care about literally everybody as much as you can. Just realize they're trying to get through life and that they have their own hardships that they're trying to manage. And hopefully you can acknowledge that and genuinely wish the best for them. By doing that, you'll be more open to other people, you'll start to become more friendly, and other people will trust that you genuinely have their best interest at heart. Now, I'm sure some of you have noticed already, but doing everything I listed isn't enough. I had fantastic friendships with people at work or in college where I couldn't trust them to help me out in a jam. Our relationship just didn't cut deep enough. The ones that truly stick out are the ones where our relationships didn't depend on us going to the same school or working at the same job. It's the one where we hung out on the weekends, where I could come over after classes, where we could just talk on the phone with no real topic in mind. If you want to have a strong friendship with someone, one of you is going to have to take it outside of the place where you met. Heck, I remember one time I had a coworker who found out that I play Smash Bros and he invited me over to play with him. But I said no because I was too nervous. It was such a big jump from the workplace to establishing a connection that went beyond a paycheck. You need to realize that you might feel that way, but you're going to have to take a chance. There have been times when I was invited to someone's house and had a great time. But then again, there were also times when I spent the whole time thinking about when it would be appropriate to leave. Every friendship has good times and bad times. But like before, you need to have a growth mindset. Acknowledge that not every person you interact with is going to be a home run. Realize that you might go to a party and hate every second of it. But then again, there will be some times when you go to a party, meet someone, and then have a friend for life. There are so many social opportunities in the world, but you'll never taste any of them if you're stuck inside playing video games all the time. Take a risk. Let yourself be open to growth. Try to learn about people. Be open to deepening your bond with people. And most importantly, be the person that you would want to be friends with. I just want what's best for you. And it's amazing what kind of life you can have if you have other people there sharing it with you. So, what do you think? Is there anything that stuck out to you? Do you have any of your own advice? Leave a comment to let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.